Welcome back to Ronin Recap. Now on to the next chapter.
Guojin Center was beautifully decorated and fashionable. It was full of people and very lively. Lin Fan and the rest took the escalator and went straight to Cartier. Welcome to Cartier. A sweet-looking employee stood at the entrance of the store and welcomed them politely. How may I help you? The shop assistant asked. I'm here to get my earrings, Wan Yuero said. As she spoke, Wan Yuero took out a receipt. Alright, please wait a moment, the shop assistant said. Then, she handed the receipt to the staff member standing in front of the cashier. Women were naturally attracted to jewelry. After Huang Moli entered Cartier, she started to look around. However, she did not dare to look at the big pieces of jewelry because the prices were too frightening. She only pointed at some small accessories and could not help but praise them. Whoa! This bracelet is so pretty. Huang Moli said. It's really beautiful. Wan Yuero said. This is a Cartier love bracelet, the shop assistant introduced with a smile. It was designed by the famous designer, Hunter Book. There are 7 different styles of love bracelets. They're like rainbows, bright, colorful, and full of energy. Huang Moli and Wan Yuero were already extremely fond of the bracelet. After hearing the shop assistant's explanation, their eyes lit up. 7 different styles. Even if each of the 4 of us in the dormitory buys one, it'd be completely different. Wan Yuero said excitedly. Then, the shop assistant pointed at an extremely gorgeous necklace displayed in the counter and said, not long ago, Hunter Book designed the Star of the Deep Sea. It's like a star hidden in the deep sea, mysterious and dazzling. Because of this Star of the Deep Sea, Hunter Book has also won the love of countless people in international exhibitions. Qin Yuxuan followed the shop assistant's finger, and her eyes lit up. It was obvious that she liked the necklace. Yuxuan, I've never given you a present before. I'll give you this necklace, then, Lin Fan said. When the shop assistant heard this, she hurriedly said, Sir, your taste is really great. This beautiful lady is just as mysterious, dazzling, and eye-catching in the crowd as the necklace. If she wears the Star of the Deep Sea, they would simply complement each other. Qin Yuxuan shook her head and said, I just do research at the university every day. There's no need for me to wear this necklace. This necklace must be very expensive. Qin Yuxuan did not think that Lin Fan could not afford it. However, she did not want Lin Fan to think that she was vain. The shop assistant sighed in her heart, someone wants to give you such a beautiful necklace, yet you don't want it? How much does this Star of the Deep Sea cost? Huang Moli asked. The main body of the Star of the Deep Sea is made of 2 carats of blue diamond, which is the only one in the entire Modu city. And its price is 1.08 million, the shop assistant said. It's that expensive? Huang Moli asked in surprise. Although she had already expected the price of this necklace to be very expensive, she did not expect such an astronomical price. A necklace like that was enough to buy a luxury car. Wan Yuero was also shocked by the price and asked, what about the love bracelets? The love bracelets are 58,888 bucks each, the shop assistant said. When Wan Yuero and Huang Moli heard this price, their faces revealed a dejected look. 58,888 yuan. It was close to 60,000 yuan. They were only students now. Perhaps they could fork out this sum of money in the future. However, it was very difficult for them to do so now. Therefore, even though the 2 of them liked it, they had no choice but to give it up. At this moment, Wan Yuero received her earrings. Miss, do you need me to help you wrap up your earrings? The shop assistant asked with a smile. Yes, wrap them up, Wan Yuero said. Then, they continued to stroll around Guojin Center. Lin Fan found an opportunity to go to the washroom, but he actually returned to Cartier. The shop assistant recognized him at a glance and greeted him with a smile, Sir, what can I do for you? I want the Star of the Deep Sea and 4 love bracelets, Lin Fan said. 4 love bracelets and 1 Star of the Deep Sea. This was a big order of more than 1.3 million. The shop assistant's heart began to beat wildly. "Alright, I'll wrap them up for you," she said excitedly. Lin Fan waved his hand and said, "No need. Just give them to me." "Alright," she said. The shop assistant quickly responded, then took out a calculator and fiddled with it. "The total is 1,315,552 yuan. I can give you a 10% discount." "No need, just take the discount as your tip," Lin Fan said. Then, he took out his bank card. The shop assistant's service attitude was very good, and she was good at introducing the jewelry too. More importantly, she picked out a necklace that Qin Yuxuan liked. Therefore, she should be rewarded. The shop assistant's heart started to race again. The discount would be her tip. This was a deal worth more than 1.3 million yuan. Even at the very least, the discount would be more than 10,000. Now, all of that was hers? The shop assistant spent a lot of effort to suppress the excitement in her heart and said, "Thank you, sir, thank you." Ding! You have spent 1,315,552 yuan. Do you want to use the 10x return card? Yes. Lin Fan muttered in his heart. Ding! System upgrade, level 4. Level 4 reward, 10 yuan for every breath, 10 yuan for every second of sleep, 10 yuan for every step taken. Rewards are distributed at 12 a.m. daily. Upgrade cost, 660000/10 million, not including gifts and gambling. In addition, all items obtained from the system are prohibited from being traded. The guaranteed cash he received every day doubled again, reaching about 700,000 yuan. Then, his phone vibrated. Notice from China Merchant Bank, 13,155,520 yuan has been deposited into your account. He received 13.15 million yuan directly. After Lin Fan took the 5 pieces of jewelry, he returned to Qin Yuxuan's side as if nothing had happened. Women naturally loved to shop. However, the things in the Guojin Center were too expensive and far beyond their spending ability. The feeling of seeing something you like but not being able to pay for it and having no choice but to leave was too unbearable. Therefore, after walking around for a while, they suggested that they leave. Lin Fan, I might not be able to accompany you tonight. I have to go back to the dormitory to prepare some materials for tomorrow's project. Lin Fan nodded. Okay, but don't tire yourself out. Take care of your health. After sharing some sweet words, the two of them separated. In the dormitory of Modu University. Hurry up and tell me, how's Yuxuan's boyfriend? Zhang Jin asked impatiently. One word, handsome. Huang Moli said. 2 words, very handsome. Wan Yuero said. It's all my supervisor's fault for suddenly working overtime today. Zhang Jing said regretfully. I missed the chance to see a handsome guy. Qin Yuxuan shook her head as she looked at her roommates' funny faces. Out of habit, she opened her bag and took out her phone. The next moment, Qin Yuxuan took out a bunch of accessories and asked, Why are these in my bag? The love bracelets. Huang Moli cried out in surprise. And the heart of the deep sea. Wan Yuero shouted. Huang Moli said, I know. Lin Fan must have bought them when he went to the washroom and secretly put them in your bag. Heavens! He easily bought a 1,000,000 yuan piece of jewelry and then secretly gave it away. Moreover, he's so handsome. Gosh! He's the perfect man. Wan Yuero shouted. Huang Moli cried out, I finally understand now why Yuxuan rejected all those handsome guys and young masters in the university. If I had such a perfect Prince Charming, I'd definitely treat those guys like two. Wan Yuero asked, Yuxuan, does your boyfriend have an older or younger brother? Please introduce me to them. Me too. I want to be introduced to them too. Huang Moli said. Me too, please introduce me. Zhang Jin said. Qin Yuxuan was amused by them and said, it's a pity that he only has one sister. As soon as she said that, the three of them were extremely depressed. He doesn't have a brother, but you guys can have a bracelet, Qin Yuxuan said. As she spoke, Qin Yuxuan took out 3 love bracelets. In the presidential suite of Shangri-La. The colorful night scene was reflected in front of the panoramic floor-to-ceiling window, like the stars in the night sky, gorgeous and bright. Lin Fan finished the glass of XO in one gulp. Then, his gaze fell on his phone. You've spent 1.31 million yuan and received 131 red packets. Do you want to collect all of them? Lin Fan had already received these red packets when he was at Guojin Center. However, he did not accept them immediately. That was because Lin Fan did not know what he would get. At this moment, he did not have so many scruples. Yes. Ding. Congratulations, you've received 100 yuan. Ding. Congratulations, you've received 99 yuan. Ding. Congratulations, you've gained professor-level mathematics experience. Use excellent mathematical knowledge to solve difficult problems while showing a fascinating charm. Ding. Congratulations, you've obtained the skill absolute focus, and thus, the ability to easily answer difficult questions. There's a 5% chance of triggering a flash of inspiration. A focused and serious man is the most handsome. Ding. Congratulations, you've received 10,000 yuan. Ding. Congratulations, you've obtained Jiangbei City's Qiankuan Building Office Block 1. Out of the 131 red packets, Lin Fan received a total of 500,000 yuan. Then, he focused on his professor-level mathematics experience and absolute focus. Professor-level mathematics experience? If only I had this when I was in school. Absolute focus? This one seems pretty good. When Lin Fan raised his head, he saw a stack of property certificates on the coffee table in front of him. Qiankuan Building, Level 1, A201. Area of 200 square meters. Property owner, Lin Fan. Qiankuan Building, Level 1, A202. Area of 150 square meters. Property owner, Lin Fan. Lin Fan looked at these title deeds and revealed a strange expression. Qiankuan Building? Isn't this where I work? Ring, ring, ring. At that moment, Lin Fan's phone rang urgently. Lin Fan, why didn't you come to work today? Ma Ziyuan's voice came from the phone. Lin Fan then remembered that it was working hours today. Oh, I forgot to tell you that I'm going to resign, Lin Fan said. Even if the system had not appeared, Lin Fan had already thought of resigning. Now, the plan was brought forward. Quit? Ma Ziyuan was stunned for a moment. Alright, then if you have time, come over and carry out the handover process. Otherwise, the supervisor will probably cut your salary for last month. Alright, I'll head over in 2 days, Lin Fan said. Lin Fan naturally did not care about the salary. However, he had always been a person who would finish what he started. If he did not do the handover process, the person taking over his work would be in trouble. After he hung up, his phone vibrated. It was a WeChat photo from Qin Yuxuan. The photo was of her beautiful face, and the heart of the deep sea was seen around her snow-white neck. Her whole person was faintly blooming with a brilliant light. Mysterious and beautiful. Qin Yuxuan, I like it very much. Thank you. Lin Fan, there's no need to say thanks between us. It's good that you like it. Qin Yuxuan, the project will officially start tomorrow. I'll be quite busy for a while, so I might not be able to accompany you to go around Modu City. Lin Fan replied, it's okay, you do your thing. However, you have to balance work and rest. Lin Fan, this is perfect timing too. I'll probably have to return to Jiangbei tomorrow to settle some work matters. I'll come back to Modu City to hang out with you in the future. Qin Yuxuan replied, okay. In Qiankuan Building, Jiangbei City. Chan Kuwei looked at the lease contract and muttered, it'll be up in 2 months. Let's go to Mr. Wang from the property management to renew the contract for next year. I hope the price won't rise by too much. As he spoke, Chang Kuei walked out of the office and went straight to the top floor of the Qiankuan building. President Wang, long time no see. What are you busy with? Chang Kuei asked with a smile. I'm sorting out some contracts and documents, Wang Zhengde said. By the way, is there anything I can help you with, Director Chang? Can't I have some tea with you, President Wang? Chang Kuei laughed. As he spoke, Chang Kuei took out a jar of premium tea and said, "This is premium tea that my friend brought from Wei. However, I don't really drink tea, so I brought it here for you to try." Wang Zhengde was a tea lover, and his eyes lit up when he saw the premium tea. Chang Kuei continued, "By the way, our company's rent will be up in 2 months. Director Wang, do you think we should renew the contract?" Wang Zhengde said helplessly, "Director Chang, you might have made a wasted trip today. Qiankuan building has already been sold to someone else." You sold it to someone else? Chang Kuei's eyes widened in surprise. It was no wonder he was so surprised. Qiankuan building was located in the center of Jiangbei City where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. The estimated price of the entire Qiankuan building was as high as 1 billion. Chang Kuei did not dare to imagine what kind of person could take out such a large sum of money. That's right. Wang Zhengde nodded and said, "So, we can only discuss the renewal of the contract after the new boss comes. Director Wang, is it convenient for you to tell me who bought Qiankuan building?" Chang Kuei asked. Wang Zhengde hesitated for a moment before saying, "You'll find out sooner or later anyway, so I'll tell you first." As he spoke, Wang Zhengde took out a document from the drawer. Chang Kuei quickly flipped through it and said in surprise, "Lin Fan? The person who bought the building is so young?" The next day, after sending a message to Qin Yushuan, Lin Fan bought a first-class ticket and returned to Jiangbei City. It was already afternoon. Lin Fan did not choose to go to the company. Instead, he returned to the Hilton Hotel and prepared to hand over the work the next morning. When he walked into the lobby of the Hilton Hotel, he was attracted by the large posters. International Mathematical Research and Discussion Conference welcomes you. Hu Chuan, Dean of the School of Mathematics of Jiangbei University. Fang Zhengtang, Professor of the School of Mathematics at Hanzhong University. When 2 carat 2 to the power of n, p less than 2 carat n plus 1, and p is 2 carat n plus 1 minus 1 is a prime number. Lin Fan did not pay much attention to the introductions of the people in front of him. However, when he saw the math problem at the back, he was interested. Lin Fan thought for a moment, then picked up the pen beside him and quickly wrote on the wide signature board. Pi 22n, carat pi 22n 1, equals 2n carat 1. A. Pi 22n, equals 2n plus 1 carat n 1. Thud, 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 thud. The entire lobby was filled with a series of rapid knocking sounds. At the start, Lin Fan's writing speed was still very fast. However, Zhou's conjecture was a world-class problem. Even with Lin Fan's professor-level mathematics experience, he was soon stuck and his writing speed slowed down. It was like a rugged mountain road that was difficult to cross. However, Lin Fan loved to challenge difficulties and never gave up. He had been calculating silently. Ding! Absolute focus triggered a flash of inspiration. Instantly, it was as if Lin Fan had grown a pair of wings. His initially slowed writing speed became even faster. Outside the Hilton Hotel, a few men and women in suits and leather shoes, who looked very refined and elegant, were walking forward. The teachers, professors, and leaders of Jiangzhou University, the University of Science and Technology, and Jiangbei University of Technology will all be attending the seminar. Have you prepared the venue and meals? The Dean of the School of Mathematics, Hu Chuan, asked. President Hu, don't worry. I've already prepared all of the logistics. I guarantee that this International Mathematics Conference will be a grand event, Huang Zihao said. We all know that Dean Hu has taken a huge step forward in the research of Zhou's conjecture. I believe that this seminar will definitely cause a sensation in the country or even the world. They walked toward Hilton Hotel with smiles on their faces. In the next moment, everyone's footsteps suddenly stopped. That was because they found a young man quickly writing a series of calculations on the signature board in the hall. Seeing this, Huang Ziheo's forehead broke out in a cold sweat. He was extremely flustered. He had just told Dean Hu Chuan that he would make this international mathematics conference a grand event. In the blink of an eye, the signature board had been scribbled on. How would Dean Hu Chuan's impression of him change? Thud, thud. At this time, two young people who looked like students walked over from the distance. When they saw Hu Chuan, Huang Ziheo, and the others, they could not help but speed up. Didn't I ask you to decorate the venue? Huang Ziheo asked in a low voice. How did this person suddenly appear? Our stomachs suddenly hurt a little just now, so we went to the bathroom, the taller boy explained. Stomach pain? Humph. Look at what the signature board has become. Huang Ziheo pointed to the front. The two students quickly looked in the direction of the signature board. Why would someone be writing an algorithm on this? The tall boy said. Why would someone write an arithmetic formula on it? Quickly make him stop. Huang Ziheo scolded. The two students finally reacted and stepped forward. At this moment, Hu Chuan, who had been silent all this while, said, Don't disturb him. Huang Ziheo and his two students paused for a moment, their faces full of confusion. However, Hu Chuan did not explain much. He just stared at Lin Fan, who was writing calculations, with a burning gaze. Professor Song Guotao, who was standing next to him, could not help but look over as well. In the next moment, his pupils shrank slightly as he said in surprise, He's trying to solve Zhou's conjecture? Professor Song, do you think he can solve Zhou's conjecture? A young teacher, Hu Tian, asked. He's already solved it. Hu Chuan said excitedly. At that moment, Lin Fan wrote down his final answer, when 2 to the power of n, p less than 2 n plus 1, and p is 2 n plus 1, minus 1 which is a prime number. Click. Then, Lin Fan put down his pen and walked straight to the elevator. He was going to go back to his room to rest. He solved a math problem after a 2-hour flight. He was a little tired. Hu Chuan quickly jogged after him. When he saw Lin Fan's face, he could not hide the shock on his face. After that, she took the initiative to reach out his hand and said, Hello, can I get a few minutes of your time? I'm Hu Chuan, the Dean of the School of Mathematics at Zhongbei University. Earlier, Hu Chuan had guessed from Lin Fan's backview that he would be relatively young. However, he did not expect him to be so young. He was probably younger than the 2 graduate students who set up the venue today. Respecting the old and cherishing the young was a traditional virtue of the country. Hu Chuan was already over 50 years old, yet he treated him politely. Lin Fan naturally responded politely. He reached out his hand and shook it. Hello, I'm Lin Fan. Mr. Lin, it's hard to imagine that you've studied prime numbers to this extent at such a young age. You even solved Zhou's conjecture. Hu Chuan sighed with emotion. I wonder which university you're a professor at, Mr. Lin. Hu Chuan asked tentatively. I'm not a professor, Lin Fan said with a smile. When Hu Chuan heard this, not only was he not disappointed, but he was even more excited. Mr. Lin, would you be interested in becoming a mathematics professor at Zhongbei University? Hu Chuan said anxiously. Lin Fan was stunned for a moment. He had not expected Hu Chuan to make such an invitation. Hu Chuan saw Lin Fan's hesitation and said, Mr. Lin, don't worry. Zhongbei University will definitely give you the best offer. Also, if you have any other requests, you can tell us. We'll try our best to satisfy you. Director Hu, you misunderstood me, Lin Fan explained. I can't be a professor because I'm only a high school graduate. This doesn't affect anything, Hu Chuan quickly said. With your mathematics ability, you don't need a certificate to prove it. To most people, education was indeed very important. However, he was a person who had studied prime numbers to this extent. Furthermore, the young man who directly solved Zhou's conjecture was obviously not an ordinary person. No one knew how great his future achievements would be. Now that Hu Chuan had finally encountered someone like him, he naturally had to make good use of the opportunity. Lin Fan could see the sincerity in Hu Chuan's eyes. He was preparing to quit his job and did not know what he was going to do in the future. On top of that, Lin Fan was also looking forward to university life. At the thought of this, Lin Fan finally opened his mouth and said, "Let's forget about me being a professor at Zhangbei University. However, if you let me study at Zhangbei University, I might be a little interested." The professor had to give lessons. It was troublesome just thinking about it. It was obvious that being a student was more to Lin Fan's liking. He was relaxed, free, and unrestrained. When Hu Chuan heard the first half of Lin Fan's sentence, his face was filled with regret. However, after hearing the second half of Lin Fan's sentence, his old face was like a crumpled piece of paper. He smiled and said happily, "All right, I'll help you with the admission procedures later." In fact, even with Hu Chuan's influence, it would be difficult for a high school graduate to become a mathematics professor at Zhangbei University. However, it would be much easier to recruit a special student. The two of them hit it off. Hu Chuan said, "By the way, Mr. Lin, the professors and teachers of many universities in Zhejiang province will all come to the hotel to participate in the mathematics seminar. I wonder if you can come on stage and explain the prime number in Zhou's conjecture." Lin Fan yawned. "Maybe not. I have to go back to my room to sleep. I won't be joining." To an ordinary person, giving a speech in front of many deans and professors was definitely a very rare opportunity. However, Lin Fan would rather sleep a little more. Hu Chuan felt a little regretful, but he did not force Lin Fan. Lin Fan entered the presidential suite and took a hot shower. Then, he spent 100,000 yuan and asked the waiter to send up a seafood feast and a bottle of XO. Ding! You've spent 100,000 yuan and received 10 red packets. Do you want to collect all of them? Yes. Lin Fan clicked confirm. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 19,999 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 2,000 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 10,000 yuan. Lin Fan received a total of 112,500 yuan from the 10 red packets. In other words, he had spent money on a big meal, but he earned back more than 100,000 yuan. Lin Fan looked at the text message from the bank, and his face revealed a strange expression. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Lin Fan lay down on the soft bed and fell asleep in satisfaction. The next day, a ray of warm sunlight shone through the window and landed on the bedside. Lin Fan opened his eyes in a daze and picked up his phone out of habit. An unread message from the bank had already appeared on the screen. Notice from Merchant Bank, 7 million yuan has been deposited into your account. Lin Fan got up, washed up, and went to the restaurant downstairs to have his breakfast. After that, he started the Lamborghini and sped toward Qiankuan building. Along the way, it was inevitable that he would attract many people's sidelong glances. On the 7th floor of Qiankuan building, Flying Heart Limited. A silver-gray supercar just drove into the parking lot, the sharp-faced Li Lanwan said. "Sigh, it's a pity that I didn't see the tycoon in the car." Her tone was full of regret, and her face was full of reminiscence. It was as if she had missed out on a few $100 million. "But I think that tycoon must be a tall, handsome, and perfect man," she added after a pause. The round-faced woman replied, "I don't know what that tycoon looks like, but that supercar is really cool. He's so cool." At this moment, Lin Fan walked over unhurriedly and said, "It's just a car. It's not a big deal." Li Lanwan glanced at him from the corner of her eyes and said in disdain, "Not a big deal? I'm afraid you can't even afford the wheels of that supercar, yet you're still talking big." After saying that, Li Lanwan strode forward in her thumb-thick high heels. It was as though the longer she stayed around Lin Fan, the lower her status would be. Li Lanwan used her face and body to act coy and have her colleagues help her with work. However, all of her tricks were completely useless in front of Lin Fan. This made Li Lanwan extremely unhappy. In fact, she hated Lin Fan. Lin Fan was the kind of guy who would never do anything that he should not do. Moreover, Lin Lanwan was a woman who had her face and body completely altered from head to toe. There was no way he would help her. I'm not her father. Why should I? Lin Fan walked into his office and immediately organized the documents. He handed them over to his colleagues. He turned around and was about to leave when he saw Li Lanwan standing next to manager Xiong Guangping, who had a fierce-looking face. She was whispering something to him. Then, Xiong Guangping strode over and said, Lin Fan, you want to resign? Yes, Lin Fan said casually. Let me take a look at the documents you handed over. Xiong Guangping picked up the documents and casually flipped through them. What the hell are you handing over? He shouted angrily. Hurry up and go back to tidy these documents up. As he spoke, he threw the documents at Lin Fan. Lin Fan's eyes turned cold as he dodged to the side. Xiong Guangping saw that Lin Fan had dodged, and it was as if his dignity had been challenged. He picked up another document on the table and threw it at Lin Fan again. Lin Fan's body swayed as he dodged it successfully once more. This man had attacked him again and again. Did he really think that Lin Fan was a pushover? Lin Fan's face was cold. He picked up a glass cup and smashed it on Xiong Guangping's head. Bang! The glass shattered, and blood splattered. Xiong Guangping's sturdy body fell straight to the ground and curled up into a ball. He held his head and kept wailing. Ah, my head is buzzing. It hurts so much. The faint smell of blood slowly spread in the office. Xiong Guangping was still holding his bleeding head. It took him a lot of effort to get up. Lin Fan, you're so cowardly. He was in the middle of scolding Lin Fan when he was frightened by the other's cold face. He changed his words. Why you hit me? Hit you? When did I ever hit you? Lin Fan said calmly. As he spoke, he walked toward Xiong Guangping. Lin Fan's pace and speed were all extremely normal. However, Xiong Guangping was so scared that he stepped back and said in a panic, Don't come over. At the same time, his eyes kept looking around the office for help. However, Xiong Guangping was domineering in the company and had no social relations at all. How could anyone be willing to help him? I'm going to call the police if you keep doing this. Xiong Guangping shouted in fear. However, it was as if Lin Fan did not hear him at all as he continued moving forward. Thud, thud, thud. At this moment, there was the sound of heavy footsteps outside. Then, Chang Kuei, who was dressed in a suit and leather shoes, strode in. He looked at the chaotic office and frowned. What happened? Lin Fan's actions earlier had scared Li Lanwan. She was hiding in a corner and did not dare to make a sound. At this time, after hearing Chang Kuei's voice, Li Lanwan's expression changed slightly, and she hurriedly showed her face. Director Chang, I know what happened. The employee called Lin Fan wants to resign, so manager Xiong asked him to hand over his work according to the rules. However, Lin Fan did a sloppy job. Manager Xiong asked him to do it again. In the end, Lin Fan was so angry that he beat up manager Xiong. When Li Lanwan said this, she even put on a weak and scared look. This was her usual trick to arouse a man's desire to protect her so that she could get closer to him. In the past, Li Lanwan had no chance to use this trick to seduce Chang Kuei. Now that she had finally met him, she naturally would not miss out on him. At this moment, Li Lanwan had already started to fantasize about the beautiful life she would have with Chang Kuei. Director, you have to help me. Xiong Guangping cried. When Chang Kuei heard this, his brows furrowed even more. It was not because of the fight. It was because he felt like he had heard the name Lin Fan before. In the next moment, Chang Kuei's pupils constricted as he walked over to Lin Fan. He bowed slightly and stretched out his hand. Hello, Mr. Lin. Chang Kuei finally remembered where he had heard the name Lin Fan. The new boss of Qiankuan building was called Lin Fan. In fact, he had even seen Lin Fan's photo yesterday. Li Lanwan saw that Chang Kuei was speaking to Lin Fan in such a good tone. A good tone? No. It was not just a good tone. In fact, there was even a faint trace of respect. Li Lanwan seemed to have thought of something and explained, "Director, you might have mistaken him for someone else. Lin Fan is just an ordinary employee of our company. He even hit manager Xiong just now. He's very vulgar. Please be careful. Don't get hurt." Calling the owner of Qiankuan building vulgar to his face? How dare she? If Li Lanwan caused Lin Fan to refuse the renewal of the contract with him, how much of a loss would he suffer? When Chang Kuei thought of this, he felt a burst of anger. If Lin Fan was not in front of him, Chang Kuei would have scolded Li Lanwan. As for mistaking Lin Fan for someone else? That was impossible. Not to mention, Lin Fan's name and appearance were exactly the same as what he saw yesterday. Lin Fan's branded clothes were enough to show that he was not an ordinary person. Moreover, Chang Kuei could tell at a glance that Lin Fan was wearing a Vacheron Constantin Tour de l'Isle, which was a luxury watch worth tens of millions. All of this indicated that the person in front of him was definitely the owner of Qiankuan building. Seeing how polite Chang Kuei was to him, Lin Fan thought for a moment and could guess the reason. Then, he reached out and shook Chang Kuei's hand. He smiled and said, "Director Chang, your company doesn't seem to welcome me." "I'm sorry, Mr. Lin," Chang Kuei said with an apologetic smile. "I wasn't strict enough when I was recruiting." Xiong Guangping listened to the conversation between the two, and his heart began to panic. "Director, please don't be fooled by Lin Fan. This rascal likes to make up stories." Chang Kuei's face turned serious as he turned around and shouted, "Shut up! Make up stories? The entire Qiankuan building is Mr. Lin's. What do you think he'll make up?" Boom! His words were like a bomb exploding in everyone's heart. Everyone present was dumbfounded. Qiankuan building was located in the center of Jianbei City where land was extremely expensive. The entire office building was worth 1 billion yuan. This was an astronomical figure for everyone. However, Qiankuan building actually belonged to Lin Fan. Li Lanwan was filled with endless regret. If she had known that Lin Fan was so rich, she would have taken off her clothes and slept with him. That way, she could cling to him. She had the chance to marry into a rich family. "Director Chang is right," Lin Fan said. "Your company should seek to improve the quality of your employees. As the saying goes, a bad apple ruins the whole bunch. The bad apples should be cleaned up in time. Otherwise, if something really happens, it'll be too late to regret it." "You have a point, Mr. Lin." Chang Kuei nodded repeatedly. "Xiong Guangping, you're fired," he said coldly. Xiong Guangping's expression changed. He had spent a lot of effort to become the manager of this company and was receiving high pay. He also often showed off in front of his relatives and friends. If he was really fired, Xiong Guangping felt that the sky might fall. "Director, you can't fire me!" Xiong Guangping quickly shouted. "I'm protected by labor laws. I can't be fired. Also, even if Lin Fan is the owner of Qiankuan building, he can't just hit people. I can sue you in court." Xiong Guangping stuck out his beer belly as he spoke as if he had found some confidence. Lin Fan laughed and said, "Sue me? All right. I'll wait for you to sue me. Let me think about it. Since it's a fight, I'll probably be locked up for a few days at most. Moreover, I wasn't the one who started it. Maybe I'll just be given a verbal warning. But, Xiong Guangping, what if I get someone to investigate your purchase contract with Zeta Company? What will happen if we hand it over to the police?" Lin Fan asked. Xiong Guangping's face turned pale. He had received a lot of rebates from his purchases, and they were huge rebates. If the police found out about it, he would probably be sentenced to more than 10 years in prison. Xiong Guangping panicked and said, "I'm not going to sue you anymore. I'll leave the company now. After he finished speaking, he didn't even pack his things and ran out as if he was escaping. The farce ended just like that. Flying Heart Limited, the director's office. Chan Kuei personally brewed tea for Lin Fan and said apologetically, "Mr. Lin, I'm sorry." Lin Fan did not care. "It's okay. It's just a small matter. I heard that you used to work at our company?" Chan Kuei asked. "Yeah, I was just playing around as I was bored," Lin Fan said. "Mr. Lin, you're really different from the rest of us," Chan Kuei said. After chatting for a while, Chan Kuei finally brought up the important matter. The origin of this chapter's debut can be traced to when 0v3lb1n. There are only 2 months left in Flying Heart's lease in Shinkuan building. I wonder when it's convenient for you to sign the contract renewal with us? Chan Kuei asked. Lin Fan said, "Oh, about that. We'll just do it according to the previous years. I'll get the property management to help us deal with it." Chan Kuei's face revealed a hint of joy when he heard this. One must know that the prices of goods and rent were rising. If he were to rent his office at the same rental price, it would be a profit for him. After chatting for a while more, Lin Fan did not stay any longer. He went straight to the underground parking lot, started the Lamborghini, and drove toward the exit. Li Lanwan, who was standing in the underground parking lot, saw everything. The regret on her face became even more intense. Lin Fan was the super tycoon who drove that supercar. No wonder he said that driving a supercar was nothing special. Lin Fan had no way of knowing what Li Lanwan was thinking. He drove the Lamborghini and sped all the way. When Lin Fan returned to the Hilton Hotel, it was 12 p.m. Suddenly, his phone vibrated slightly, and a red packet popped up. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 3 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you've obtained the identity card of Dragon Division's Team 10's leader. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 999 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 5,000 yuan. Very quickly, a minute passed. This time, Lin Fan earned a total of 50,000 yuan. He did not care about the money anymore. Lin Fan's gaze immediately landed on the words Dragon Division's Team 10's leader. The identity token of Dragon Division's Team 10's leader. After using it, you'll become the leader of Team 10 of the country's Dragon Division. You'll have the same rank as the city leader and enjoy other privileges. It's a special identity that will display special charms. When Lin Fan saw this, his face was filled with shock. The leader of Dragon Division's Team 10. This power was too terrifying. Lin Fan did not hesitate at all and chose to use his identity card. In an instant, an exquisitely carved dragon-shaped token appeared in his hand out of thin air. Just as Lin Fan was about to study it, his phone rang urgently. "Lil Yao, why did you call me today?" Lin Fan answered the call and asked with a smile. However, he could hear sobbing from the other end of the phone. The smile on Lin Fan's face instantly disappeared. He asked anxiously, "Lil Yao, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Did someone bully you? Hurry up and tell me. I'll definitely help you teach them a good lesson." Lin Xiaoyao sobbed and said, "B brother. Dad is unwell and is bleeding a lot." Buzz. The moment she said that, Lin Fan felt as though a huge boulder had smashed into his heart. It was extremely painful. It was suffocating. Lin Fan hurriedly asked, "Lil Yao, tell me, why is Dad bleeding so much? How is he now?" 2 days ago, Dad suddenly vomited blood while eating. Then, the ambulance took him to the hospital. Yesterday, the doctor said that, there's a tumor in Dad's stomach. Lin Xiaoyao could not help but start crying. "Brother, what should we do? I'm so scared." Lin Fan consoled her, "Dad will be fine. Lil Yao, don't worry. I'll be back soon." After hanging up the call with his sister, Lin Xiaoyao, Lin Fan dialed his mother, Dai Weishue's, phone number. The call was connected after a long while. "Lil Fan, why are you calling? Dai Weishua's hoarse voice came through the phone. How's Dad? Lin Fan asked. Has the surgery started? Liliao told you that, right? This girl, I've already told her not to tell you. Dai Weishua chided her. Lil Fan, don't worry about it. Everything will be fine after your dad's surgery. Lin Fan said, Mom, I just transferred some money to your bank card. You have to find the best doctor for Dad. I'm going back from Jiangbei now. In fact, even if there was no news of his father's illness, Lin Fan had already planned to make a trip home. After she hung up, Dai Weishua's phone vibrated. Notice from Merchant Bank, 5,000,000 yuan has been deposited into your account. Dai Weishua looked at the long string of zeros on her phone screen and was completely stunned.
Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and see you in the next chapter.